Deku falls from the sky at insane speeds, screaming his lungs off, and lands in some sort of courtyard. What? Where am I? Deku looks around to be stared at by various people. The master of the place approaches Deku and in a calm voice says, "Now, who are you?" Deku stares at him in shock and looks around to see various other people that are called the Hashira. In an instant, the Wind Hashira is up to his feet and grabs Deku. "Now who the hell are you and what do you want?" Deku looks at the man in shock, but slaps him away. The master of the Demon Slayers tells the Wind Hashira to calm down. "Now, if you don't mind, can you please explain to us what you are doing here?" Deku then responds, "I'm sorry to intrude, but it seems that I was sent to this world, and I don't know how." Flashback to the battle with Deku and Shigaraki speaks. "Come on, kid. Let's end this right here." They both charge at each other, and just as they collide, Deku poofs into the sky and begins falling. Now back to present. That's all I remember. But what now? The master smiles. "Well, maybe you are here for a reason. Now what's your name?" "Izuku Midoriya. Hero name, Deku." The master then tells the Hashira that anyone who would fall from the sky and not die must have some potential. "Well, Izuku, in this world there are many demons that go around eating humans, but who you see here are known as the Hashira, or the top demon slayers. I would like you to actually join us." Izuku smiles and says that he is a hero, so turning that down wouldn't be right. "I assumed you would say that. Well, demons are only able to be killed by the sun or when their heads are cut off by a particular blade. I would like to have one of our very own Hashira train you in one of their breathing styles." Izuku looks confused and asks what he means by a breathing style, and he explains that there is a breathing technique that will increase a human's strength, and he will basically need it to defeat humans. Izuku tries to basically show off one for all and realizes that he can only output 5% right now. "Oh, I guess I have to accept your offer. It seems my quirks are only at 5% strength currently. Must have something to do with this world, I guess." The master asks what does he mean by quirks, and he shows off Black Whip, One for All, Smokescreen, and the rest of his quirks that he currently has, but obviously only being able to show it at like 5% capacity. The master asks, or everyone is shocked, including the Hashira, that this boy does have a decent amount of strength even without a breathing style. "Well then, Izuku, one of the Hashira will be training you. Now, would anyone like to volunteer?" A woman with purple eyes then steps up.
"I can train him to be a demon slayer."
The master smiles and introduces Izuku to Shinobu and tells him that he is in very capable hands. Shinobu takes Izuku to the Butterfly Mansion and he tries to say hello to another girl there, but she just looks at him, smiles without saying a word. Izuku asks who she is and Shinobu tells him that she is another student of hers by the name of Kanao, and she doesn't talk very much. They get Izuku settled, which doesn't take very long because he, doesn't have anything, and they head to the dojo.
"Now, to begin our training."
Shinobu then started training Izuku in the art of swordsmanship, but also how to use concentration breathing. Initially, Shinobu was planning to teach him insect breathing, but when he started training with concentration breathing, Izuku spun, swinging his sword, and Shinobu stared in complete awe. This wasn't just flower breathing, it was different. Izuku had some sort of nature breathing, which was far above anything her sister or herself could have done. Shinobu smiles as she watches her new student learn a breathing style for himself, and she even encourages him to make his own forms, which by the end of his training, which was about 1 year long, he had 3 forms created, and in the works with 2 more. Toward the end of the training, Izuku began trying to talk with Kanao, but she would always flip a coin and end up not saying a word, until they were 2 days out from the final selection. So I've been meaning to ask, Kanao, how long have you been training with Shinobu? She flips her coin and it lands on heads, and she doesn't speak. Why do you flip that coin anyways? She flips it once again and it lands on tails.
I flipped this coin to choose if I should talk to you. Since it landed on heads, I responded.
Why let a coin choose though?
Well, it's simple. Nothing really matters to me. So, how could I choose for myself?
Izuku is shocked but asks for her coin, and she gives it to him. I'm gonna throw this in the air, and if it lands on heads, you talk without using this coin, using your heart. But if it lands on tails, then you can do what you want. So if you want to flip the coin, you can. Izuku flips the coin, and when it lands, it's heads. He smiles and tells her that now she can speak to her heart's content, and if her heart doesn't care, then she will need to find something to care about. Izuku smiles and is about to leave, but Kanao asks how he was able to get it to land on heads, and he just smiles and says that sometimes fate just works out that way. Izuku heads back inside, and both Kanao and Izuku head off to the final selection 2 days later.
I know you are ready for the final selection. Good luck, Izuku.
They eventually arrive and are greeted by 2 proctors that explain what the exam will consist of, which is basically survive in a demon-filled forest for 1 week. They all enter and Izuku and Kanao split up immediately. Now, if I can just gather all the demon slayers, I may be able to keep everyone alive. Midoriya runs through the forest, gathering as many people as possible, telling them and guiding them to a certain area of the mountain. Once he got at least most of the people there, he used his first form. Nature breathing, first form, aromatherapy. His first form allows him to give off a scent to demons, but in this case, he created a scent around the area where the future slayers were that would tell the demons that there were no humans in this area. Izuku then left the area searching for more people until he spots a boy with a scar on his forehead facing a massive hand demon in defense of another slayer. Nature breathing, first form, aromatherapy, aggressive scent. The demon smells this, and so does the other boy, and they look both at Izuku. The boy by the name of Tanjiro yells for him to get out of the way. Izuku's body begins to electrify with 10% of One for All, which he basically was able to unlock while he was training. Don't worry about me, just get up the mountain. Tanjiro looks in shock at Izuku as he stares down the hand demon. Nature breathing, second form, lightning slash. Tanjiro watches as Izuku jumps up and slices through the neck of the hand demon, killing it. Oh, you, what's your name? Oh, I'm Tanjiro Kamado. Izuku Midoriya, nice to meet you. Now follow me. Izuku then takes the rest of the slayers back to the area he made, and most, if not all, or every slayer made it out alive. See, Kanao? It looks like everyone was able to survive. She smiles at him and just shakes her head as they head out of the forest due to the 7 days being over. The proctors begin to explain about what's next, but then a boy by the name of Genya, pissed, walks up to the proctors and tries to grab one of their heads. Tanjiro is about to step in, but Black Whips grab Genya and pull him back toward Izuku. Calm down, Genya. Let's stay calm here. Genya pushes him away and scoffs, and basically just lines back up around the proctors. They explain that everyone must basically choose their oars, and that will basically be made into a sword. Everyone does so, including Izuku, and eventually they head back to the Hashira mansion. They are greeted by Shinobu and are congratulated on their success. Izuku then continues his training, and he actually trains with Kanao, who is talking more and more, but little by little. Finally, the ores are created into their Nichi ring swords, and Izuku's sword gets delivered. He grabs his sword and the color changes, and green lightning swirls around it. He looks in awe at the sword and smiles as he looks at the handle, which is very similar to Shinobu's. Finally, the first mission of his Demon Slayer journey has arrived, while his bird, which is actually a white dove, dives down and lands on his shoulder. The dove speaks and tells him that a nearby lake seems to be swarmed with demons, or at least one, and the people around seem to be drowning, but they aren't in water. Izuku then says his goodbyes and heads out to his first mission. When he arrives, he enters a small village on the lake, and he approaches a man and a woman who are selling fish. Hey, can I buy some cooked cod?
Yes, of course, young man. You look new here.
Yes, I actually am. My name is Izuku Midoriya, but feel free to just call me Izuku.
Well then, just call me Palmer.
How much for the cooked cod, Palmer?
Oh, good. For you, my good boy, free. First one is on the house.
Izuku thanks him and they continue to talk, and Izuku says how amazing the cod is, and Palmer finally begins talking about what Izuku really wanted to hear.
Yes, thank you. Actually, we have been getting a lot less catches ever since people have been mysteriously, dying. I personally want to leave because I think it's a demon-like monster, but my wife over here claims that there is no way.
Izuku smiles and laughs as well, and asks if they could maybe go on a walk and talk for a second. Palmer agrees and they begin talking. Yeah, now this demon, I need to know if there has been any pattern to end all the deaths. The man is shocked, thinking that there's no way Izuku actually believes him.
Well, Izuku, it seems to be going to every house, and frankly, I think we are next. The people mysteriously die, but they look as if they were drowned or waterlogged.
Izuku tells him that he is part of something called the Demon Slayer Corp, and that he is here because of that demon. The man is shocked and hugs him, and says that he knew he wasn't crazy. Do you think I can stay with you for the night and try to catch the demon? Palmer agrees, and they make up an excuse, obviously, to his wife about why Izuku needs to stay. The moon then rises, and Izuku sits awake, or lays down awake, waiting for the demon to show up. The water below the house, though, begins to get displaced, and something creeps through the cracks of the floorboard. The creature walks over, and Izuku can feel his lungs start to fill up with water. He tries to focus, and his body begins to heat up, pushing his breath past his waterlogged lungs. Eventually, the water evaporates through his mouth, and the demon panics, but he is wrapped in vines. Now, what do we have here? The water mimic demon begins to panic, not being able to move or even slip through the vines. What? Let me go! You should be dead! Izuku pulls out his sword as Palmer and his wife run into the room, and he tells them to stay back. The demon tries to change his appearance, and he appears as a young boy. Please, Mom, Dad, save me. The two parents look on in shock and begin crying. The wife is about to charge at Izuku, but Palmer knows that this isn't real. Izuku squeezes the vines and slices the demon's head off. I'm sorry, both of you, that you had to see that. But I promise that was not your son. He was just mimicking your son. They both cry in each other's arms, but they are relieved that now they know their son is gone, but he is in a better place. Izuku is about to head out, but the couple stops him, saying that he can't go out at night, and he can always stay for the night, and that they will always be grateful for what he did. Izuku says that it's really no problem and agrees to stay for the night. The next morning, they give him a box with straps with tons of cooked fish. He says that he wants to pay for it, but they refuse to let him. He eventually thanks them for the fish, and he heads back off to the Hashira mansion at the request of his dove. When he arrives, he hears the master speaking with Tomioka and Shinobu about heading to the Natagomo forest, or Natagomo mountain. Izuku then chimes in, saying that sending to Hashira is unnecessary, and that he will go with Shinobu. The master smiles hearing this and tells both of them to go with Kanao and split the forest into 3 sections and try to help as many people as possible. Shinobu and him then walk over basically to get Kanao and are talking.
You know, Izuku, Kanao has been a lot more open to the idea of speaking on her own since you arrived. For that, I thank you. I'm glad to be called your sensei.
Midoriya slightly blushes. You don't need to thank me, Shinobu. I'm just doing what I feel is right. Shinobu smiles and they continue walking. They get Kanao and they head off to Natagomo Mountain. When they arrive, they split up and Izuku makes his way through the forest until he hears a loud explosion. And he runs over and sees Tanjiro slicing the head off a demon with a blaze of fire on his blade. Soon after though, the demon stands up once again. You almost had me. So close. But I cut my own head off before you could. Tanjiro tries to stand back up, but can't because of his exhaustion, and realizes that he may be dead. Rui is about to kill him, but then black whips surround Tanjiro and pull him away. Hey, you did really good, Tanjiro. Ready for round 2? Tanjiro looks up. Izuku? A green aroma surrounds Tanjiro and he stands up, revitalized. Whoa, how did you do that? Izuku tells him that it's basically a conversation for another time, and they both need to face down Rui together. Vines grab Rui, and Izuku's body covers in electricity. They both charge in and strike down Rui in an instant, killing him. But to make sure he is dead, Izuku does smash his head with vines. Yeah, sorry that was a bit brutal, but I need to make sure, at least this time. Tanjiro nods and is actually pretty shocked how much stronger Izuku is compared to him, and that frankly, he really didn't need his help. They grab Nezuko, who is a demon, and Izuku realizes this and tilts his head. Tanjiro, that's a demon. You know that, right? Tanjiro explains that this is no demon, it's his sister, and she's never hurt a human ever in her life. Izuku nods, and they begin to leave, but Kanao comes diving in, slicing at Nezuko. Midoriya blocks her strike and kicks her away. Izuku looks at Nezuko. Yeah, you might want to get going. Nezuko then runs with Tanjiro as Kanao chases with Izuku, trying to keep her away. Kanao kicks Izuku into a tree, but then he grabs her with some vines, slowing her down. Shinobu then comes out of nowhere as well, trying to kill Nezuko, but Izuku grabs her sword with Black Whip, and he throws her sword and picks up Nezuko and begins running until crows fly over them. Bring back Tanjiro, Kamado, and Nezuko! Back to the mansion! Izuku then looks at Nezuko. I assume that you are Nezuko, right? Izuku smiles as Shinobu and Kanao approaches them. They both lecture him about what he did, and he just smiles and puts his hand at the back of his head, saying that he can't resist helping a child. It's just in his nature. He looks down to see that he was bit by many spiders, and he faints. Well, not because of the poison though, but from, well, the fear of spiders. Izuku then wakes up from the mission, and he is in his room in the Butterfly Mansion. Shinobu walks in asking how he is feeling. Oh yeah, I feel fine. She tells him that she noticed that, well, he didn't even get poisoned, and they both begin to laugh. Kanao hears them talking and runs in.
Izuku, are you alright?
Oh, I'm fine, Kanao. Thank you. Izuku smiles and Kanao slightly blushes.
Seems you've taken a liking to Izuku. I don't know what you're talking about, Shinobu.
Izuku and Shinobu slightly chuckle at the response, and Izuku gets up and asks about Tanjiro. They tell him that he is in recovery, and that Izuku is lucky he isn't in any trouble as well as him. Izuku tells them that, he knows, and says that he just wants to help with Tanjiro's training a bit before he heads off again. They agree, and after some time passes, Izuku helps Tanjiro with various different things. He basically, based on things he learned, until one night they both are sitting on a rooftop trying to focus on his breathing. You know, Izuku, you seem to be good at this, but it's like you fell from the sky or something. I've never heard of you, ever. Izuku laughs and says, well, he kinda did, and that maybe one day he will tell that story. Also, why did you protect Nezuko? Oh, she seemed to be human, like us, Tanjiro, and my duty is to protect humans. Tanjiro is shocked, and Izuku leaves him to focus on his training. Izuku goes to his room and gets all set for the next day, which he will have his brand new mission. The next day, Izuku is training by himself while waiting for his next mission, and Shinobu enters, asking why is he training so hard. I want to do more, Shinobu. If I had my full power, I would be able to do so much more. But I only have close to 20% of it now. Shinobu tells him that he is doing more than anyone could possibly imagine. Also, I've been meaning to ask Shinobu, this facade, why do you put this up around everyone? Shinobu is shocked that Izuku could tell that she isn't showing her true feelings, and she asks him to sit down with her.
If I'm being honest, Izuku, I keep a smile on my face because it's what my sister wanted. She would always tell me, Shinobu, please smile for me, sister. She even said that while she was dying.
I'm sorry, Shinobu. I truly am, but you have people here as well that care about you. Kanao, me, and everyone else. She smiles and thanks Izuku. She then tells him that's why she wants to pass on something to him that her sister would have wanted.
You and Tanjiro. I know if anybody can befriend a demon, it's you two. My sister always wanted that. But I think it's best to pass that wish to you.
You sound like you're gonna die, Shinobu. But nonetheless, I'm honored to carry on her wishes with Tanjiro. As he says this, his dove flies down next to him and tells him about a village in a nearby forest that has been recently tormented by a demon. Izuku says his goodbyes to Shinobu and Kanao, and they basically laugh about the fact that he has a dove deliver his messages and it weirdly fits him. He rolls his eyes and leaves off to the village, arriving about 3 hours before the sundown. When he arrives, he's greeted by various people, and it seems they know who he is. Izuku, the savior of the lake village? Huh? You know me? The people of the village begin saying that most of their extended families live there, and they were told that he saved them, or at least a boy with exactly the clothing he's wearing and green hair did. Oh, well, I appreciate it, but I'm just here to do my job. But I do thank you for the hospitality. They ask for him to eat, and they will tell him everything that has been happening. The villagers then explain that they have been hearing screams recently in the forest, and in the beginning people would go check what it is, but now if anyone goes out, they never come back. They also explain that it seems that there is no convincing the people when they want to go out. It's like the demon selectively screams for a certain person, so they can't help but to go check what is going on. Interesting. Well, I'm gonna keep a watch out for the demon tonight, and however long it takes, But I want all of you to try your best to board up in your houses, so even if you want to get out, you can't. They agree, and Izuku stays in a small cabin, not boarded up. He then hears the scream, but decides it's best to wait. He looks to see nobody is coming out of their houses, until one of the villagers approaches a boarded window and tries to get out, but can't. Izuku then began to hear footsteps walking out of the forest toward the village, and a female demon approaches the window slowly. The demon then disappears and appears in front of Izuku, screaming so loud it makes his ears bleed. He kicks the demon away, and now they're in a standoff. Now, how strong are you? The demon screams once again, and it seems like she can't actually say words. Nature breathing, third form, vine entanglement. The vines trap the demon and he covers her mouth. But as he approaches, she screams once again, making the vines die in an instant. Izuku then activates One for All at 15%, dodging as many blasts as possible, trying to close the distance. But right as he's about to slice the demon's head off, he realizes something. There's an actual person inside the demon. Nature breathing, first form, aromatherapy. Izuku uses this, and as he does, he makes some sort of demon repellent, and the demon begins separating from the woman. Oh my god. Izuku dashes in, pulling the woman out, but as he does this, the demon-like creature jumps on him in a last-ditch effort to basically control Izuku. But to not be controlled, he pulls out a form that he's been developing. And in the small chance that he would get turned, he slams his sword into the ground. This is gonna hurt bad. Nature breathing, fourth form, Mother Nature's purification. His body begins to get smited by lightning, and the demon-like symbiote perishes. He collapses, and the woman that was just saved runs over, picking him up, and in the process kind of burns her arms as she brings him back into the house. Izuku, then out for days, eventually wakes up. What happened? The woman that he saved walks in and tells him that he's been out for a while since what he did. Izuku tries to get up but can't. Hey, you can't go anywhere. Not for some more time. Izuku is frustrated but understands. The village thanks him for saving the woman and, well, their village, and that they want him to stay here for a while until, well, he's well enough to leave. Multiple days pass, and Izuku is feeling better, but the unthinkable is told to him by a flying crow. The crow says that Rengoku is in conflict with Akaza, the upper rank 3. Izuku's eyes grow wide. How far? The crow says that he is currently the closest out of everyone. The villagers say that he isn't ready yet to leave, and he says that as a demon slayer, they must work, hurt, sick, and all of the above. He smiles, and using 15% of One for All and Black Whip, he goes sprinting off at insane speeds, making it just as Rengoku sends off his 9th form, Flame Tiger. Izuku realizes that this is perfect. He grabs Akaza with Black Whip, and he takes the full attack. Rengoku is shocked as he knows who actually did it. Izuku runs over and stands next to him. Now, how did you get here so fast, Izuku? Just was nearby, Rengoku. How about we finish this up? Rengoku nods and they both charge at Akaza. Even Akaza begins to have a little bit trouble with the very unorthodox style of Izuku, and the fact that every time he throws something Izuku's way, it seems that he can sense it before it actually lands. Akaza continues to fight, and his smile grows on his face more and more until he can feel his body get covered in vines. What? A little bit of vines is not gonna stop me. Izuku points to the sky, showing that the sun is actually about to come up. No, but that will. Akaza begins to panic, trying to escape from the vines, but they keep regrowing. Now, Akaza, it's over. Izuku runs over and grabs onto him. Nature breathing, fourth form, Mother Nature's purification. Izuku looks up and closes his eyes, bracing himself for the impact. The lightning begins to smite them both, and he prevents Akaza from leaving altogether, killing the demon, not with his form, but from stunning him long enough via the sun and killing him via the sunlight. Izuku stumbles to his feet, extremely hurt at this point, but can feel his body recovering with his concentration breathing. Izuku and everyone else runs over to him, but as they do, a portal opens up once again, and Izuku is gone just as fast as he appeared in their world. All his wounds are then healed, and he comes falling down from the sky, and eventually he lands crashing into what seems like a castle? A man with a shield surrounded by guards stares at what seems to be the king in complete anger. The man with the shield then looks at Izuku. Now who the hell are you? Izuku awkwardly, gets up and looks at the man with the shield and then looks at the king. About that, that's a long story.